A good Friday, everybody. I'm meteorologist Ben Dery. Thanks for checking us out on our streaming platforms. It's been a soaker of a morning, and it looks like that rain is going to be lingering with us for a good chunk of the day today. Now, the good news is the heaviest rain is kind of in our rearview mirror. Even though we're expecting rain showers to be with us through a good chunk of the afternoon, the risk for any additional thunderstorms is fairly low. Zero severe weather risk. So our main weather headline is basically going to be the potential for some flooding and even some flash flooding potential. It's heavy rain for the morning commute, though the heaviest rain is behind us. We're still looking at light to moderate showers that will continue through lunchtime and even through the first half of the afternoon before we see drying from north to south. Flooding is possible along and just north of the Minnesota River Valley, and we do expect pleasant conditions as we head into the upcoming weekend. So pretty wet end to the week, but by the time we get into tomorrow, we'll be basking in the sunshine again. Here's a look at some of the early rainfall totals we've seen. This is as of about the 9 o'clock hour, so these are certainly going to be ticking upwards with time. Places like Le Sueur and Henderson, 4.5 to even close to 5 inches of rain so far. New Prague, Brownton picking up over 4 inches. Hutchinson closing in on 3.5 inches. Olivia with about 2.5. Victoria, even some parts of the Southwest Metro picking up over an inch of rain. And again, more rain is continuing to fall. This is our radar estimate, our 24-hour precip, and you can certainly see the bright spot. There's the Twin Cities right here. This is the Minnesota River right there, and you can, or the Minnesota River Valley, and you can see those higher rainfall totals are kind of paralleling that and just north. It's here in that red and orange shaded area where 2 to 4 inches of rain has already fallen, and you can see a couple of bright spots there as well, specifically over parts of, say, eastern Sibley County, eastern Nicollet, and western Le Sueur County. This area right here is where we're seeing those 5 inches of rainfall. But the good news is the heaviest rain is now tapering at least a little bit. The rainfall rates are relaxing, at least temporarily, which is some good news, but we still have some flash flooding potential just based off of how much rain we've seen over the last 6 to even 10 hours. There is a flash flood warning that continues for these areas until just before 2 o'clock this afternoon. 3.5 to 4.5 inches of rain has already fallen, and flash flooding is possible. Now, a note about the flooding, though, is it's been really dry lately, right? We haven't seen a ton of rainfall as of late, so a lot of the rain is initially soaking into the soil, which is good news. So if we see 2 to 4 inches, then the soil is going to be able to soak that up, and flooding concern is lesser. However, when we see higher rainfall totals than that, well, the ground is already saturated, and that can lead to some excessive runoff. That's why we have that flood watch, which is in effect until noon today. That's for the darker shaded green color, and that's again that 2 to 4 inches of rainfall with excessive runoff possible. But the good news is we have yet to receive a whole lot of reports of any major flooding, which is good news. This is basically going to be a soaker of a day. This is a very efficient rain producer. Abundant moisture is present, and honestly, it's almost behaving like a winter storm would, say a storm during the winter months. It's kind of that sort of feel where we have this big, slow-moving low-pressure system, which is currently in the southwestern part of the state. And as that rolls across the Minnesota-Iowa border, all of this rain basically pivots on top of us. The atmosphere gets wrung out, and we get hit with some pretty impressive rainfall totals. This is one of those drought-busting rains that we see once a month, once every other month, something like that. So widespread rainfall totals in excess of an inch, and again, some of those areas just south and west of the Twin Cities picking up over 2 to 4 inches of rainfall. Those are the bright spots you see in our precip forecast. So southwest metro locations, probably an inch to an inch and a half before things wrap up. Northeast metro locations seeing significantly less. Places like Hugo, Blaine, Forest Lake, and points northward probably picking up a half an inch or more of rainfall, and you can see rainfall totals taper off the further north you go. So this is Microcast. This is going to help to show where we expect the heavier rain showers and when we expect the rain to end. So we're starting this at 9 o'clock. Notice all the bright colors that we see here indicating moderate to heavy rain. But watch by noontime, we still have some pockets of yellow and orange, but not as many. That shows us that the rainfall rates are starting to relax a little bit. That's good news for any additional flooding potential. And notice by noontime, from St. Cloud northward, we start to dry out. Now this, because the system is slow moving, we're likely going to see the showers linger for most of the afternoon through the Twin Cities area. Probably not until the evening rush, even in the hours beyond, is when we'll start to see the rain finally beginning to lighten up entirely. But you can see by 5 o'clock, St. Cloud eastward towards the Chisago Lakes area, up I-35 to Duluth. We're done with the rain. Southern quarter of the state of Minnesota still lingering with the rain showers through this evening. But once we get into tonight, we're done with the rain. We need to soak up what we can because we don't have any additional significant rain in the forecast, at least through the first full week of August. So this is not going to be a major pattern shift where we start to see, heavy bouts of rain every other day. Not that kind of system, not that kind of weather pattern. Once we get into the weekend, the clearing sky takes place, and it looks like we'll be basking in the sunshine for a good chunk of this weekend. Again, this is kind of that drought-busting rain. The one lone part of the state that doesn't have any significant drought right now is near the Wilmer area, and they're getting hit with some pretty decent rainfall. But around the Twin Cities, we're in that moderate drought. That's an uptick from last week when we were in the abnormally dry category. And the areas that could really use the rain up along the international border, and specifically the Arrowhead and the Boundary Waters, where severe drought is starting to creep into parts of Lake and Cook County. Unfortunately, those are the parts of the state that are missing out on the heaviest rainfall, but it does look like temperatures will be cooler regardless of not getting any rainfall out there. So there's a bit of good news there. Here's your weekend getaways forecast. Today is certainly as wet as it gets and as cool as it gets as well. Probably the coolest day of the month for many of us as we wrap up the month of July. August begins tomorrow, and boy, a nice weekend is taking shape. Saturday and Sunday, looking at temperatures rising back into the middle 80s, even lower 80s for some locations up north. So certainly cooler than the stretch of 90s that we saw earlier this week. Yesterday in the Twin Cities, we hit, I believe it was 89 degrees, so just shy of 90. Today, the temperature climate data is going to say that we hit 76 degrees. That was just after midnight earlier this morning, but we're going to stay near 70 through the rest of the day. Tomorrow with clearing skies, temperatures right back up into the 80s. Still a bit on the hazy side. Remember from earlier this week, we were talking about that wildfire haze from wildfires burning in the Pacific Northwest about 1,000 miles west of us. That's still probably going to be the case, so still a bit hazy over the weekend, but still should see a good amount of sunshine and seasonal temperatures more or less. I think the average high for this time of year is like 83, 82 degrees, something like that, and it's pretty much where we are going to be. If you're going to be spending any time outside today, however, you are going to need your rain umbrella. Even though we might see some pockets of dry weather from time to time, overall, it is going to be a pretty rainy day today. Much cooler as well. We dropped from near 90 yesterday into the lower 70s, so that's a drop of about 20 degrees or so with a northeast breeze about 5 to 15 miles per hour. And you can see areas that are covered with the clouds and the rain showers. Temperatures are going to be a lot cooler. We're talking lower 70s. And even 60s for temperatures across the southern part of the state. Meanwhile, areas up north where we see brighter conditions, 80s from International Falls to Thief River Falls. That's the weather that you can expect as we head into tomorrow. So let's fast forward through your weekend. This is Saturday's weather forecast. Basically, nothing but sunshine region-wide. No more rain is in the forecast. We'll be allowed to dry out, and temperatures are right back up into the mid-80s. And humidity should be fairly low as well. That's kind of the nice news about this weekend. Is probably one of the nicest weekends we've seen, I would say, since maybe early to mid-June, because not only are we seeing comfortable temperatures, which we haven't seen a lot of so far this July, but the humidity is also going to be pretty low as well. We head into Sunday, similar case. It's basically a rinse and repeat forecast. Now, it will be a little breezy across far western Minnesota. There's a frontal system that's slowly going to work its way across the high plain states as we head into Monday and Tuesday. That arrives into our neighborhood by Tuesday, which could give us a few spotty showers and just slightly cooler air as we head into the middle half of next week. But otherwise, things are fairly quiet and we don't have any significant rain chances beyond today. So here's your 7-day forecast. Today is going to be a rainy day with, again, the rain chances gradually fading from northwest to southeast as we head into the tail end of the afternoon and early evening. The rain wraps up tonight, leading to a mostly sunny weekend. Nice weather to be outside. Great way to kick up the month of August. A brief warm-up as that front approaches on Monday. But even as that front passes on Tuesday, just a few spotty showers are expected. Temperatures take a slight dip back to near 80 for Wednesday. And again, once we get beyond today, we don't have any other significant rain chances in the forecast. So enjoy the sunshine, and your garden and your lawn should soak up the rain while we have it today. By the way, if you're just joining us, some significant rain continues to fall across the region. The heaviest rain, what we've seen so far, has been near and just north of the Minnesota River Valley. Places like Le Sueur, Henderson closing in on 5 inches of rain. That's just as of today. New Prague, Brownton picking up over 4 inches. Hutchinson about 3.25 inches. Olivia, Victoria picking up well over 1 inch of rain. And we're going to see more rainfall in the forecast. Probably an additional 1/2 inch to inch widespread, with some local amounts could see up to 2 inches of additional rainfall. That's on top of what we've already seen this morning. This is a radar estimate of rainfall over the last 24 hours. What we saw back there, the previous graphic, those are actual reports. This is radar, what it's estimating at least. Widespread over 1/2 inch around the Twin Cities, and you can see the colors increase. The brightness level increases the further south and west you go. Here's the Minnesota River Valley right here. There's Montevideo, Redwood Falls, and New Ulm. It's basically between New Ulm and Hutchinson, that line that parallels the international border, parallels the Minnesota River Valley, where we're seeing the highest rainfall totals. And kind of embedded in this red shaded area, which is over 2.5 inches, you can see some bright spots. There's one just south and west of the Wilmer area. There's another one through a good chunk of Sibley County. And this one right here, western half of Le Sueur County, you can see that stretches through the central and western part of the county, where radar estimates are nearing 5 inches or more of rainfall. And all that's falling within like a 6 to 10 hour window, which is pretty significant, certainly. And that's leading to some flash flooding concerns as well. Where we have seen those 5 inches or more indications on radar, the National Weather Service has issued a flash flood warning. Now, the good news is it should be minor flooding. We haven't received reports of major flooding happening, which is some good news, though it is still early. Keep that in mind as well. The rainfall rates are relaxing a little bit. The heaviest rain is basically done. We still have showers that'll linger, but it's more of that stratiform light to moderate rain that'll continue. These are not those training thunderstorms like we've seen in the past. That just dump buckets and buckets of rain. This is a widespread, efficient rain producer. And again, if you do live in this area, that includes, communities like Henderson, Ottawa, the Kasota area, Le Sueur, down towards St. Peter, watch for some not only ponding of water on the roadways, but maybe some swelling of creeks and streams, low drainage areas, poor drainage areas. Watch those, because that's where we're probably going to see some minor flooding that occurs, and maybe even some urban flooding as well. Now let's back it up a little bit. You can see that flood watch extends from west central Minnesota for counties bordering the Minnesota River Valley. That expires at noon today, where widespread 2 to 4 inches of rainfall is expected. Now, another note about the flooding is we have not seen a lot of rainfall recently, right? So the ground is not saturated by any stretch. The soil does a good job at soaking in at least the 2 to 4 inches of rainfall, but anything more than that, we start to see the excessive runoff possible. If you do encounter any flooded roads or sidewalks or anything like that, just remember, turn around, don't drown, because that water could be deeper than you think. It could be moving faster than you think as well. Now here's our radar, and you can see this rain is not limited to one specific area. This is basically widespread. Now earlier this morning we did have some heavy thunderstorms roll through the area. Most of those have tamed down quite a bit. You can still see some yellows and even some pockets of orange in there that would indicate more moderate rain showers. But the green is more like a stratiform rain, that kind of light but steady stuff that will be with us through a good chunk of this afternoon. So keep in mind, this is not going to be limited to the morning hours. Let's go ahead and go to our microcast, and we'll show you the heaviest rain begins to taper later this morning. By noontime, still raining from the Twin Cities southward, though the further north you go, looks like the rain is gradually going to be tapering off, which is going to be good news for any outdoor activities. Let's head into the evening. Basically, from the Twin Cities southwards, it's still raining even through the evening rush, so it should be kind of that light stratiform rain that'll be with us, not the kind of rain that produces any additional flooding, which is good news there. By the time we get into the evening hours, the rain ends entirely, and tonight we clear out, and it looks like that sunshine will be with us not only Saturday, but for a good chunk of next week. Let's end on the 7-day forecast. Today is as rainy as it gets, so soak up any rain that we can. Your lawn and your garden is certainly thanking you today, unless you're in those flooding prone areas. Once we get into the weekend, stunning weather, all things considered. We haven't seen a pleasant weekend like this in a while. It's either been too hot, too humid, or too smoky. I don't think that'll be the case this weekend. Sunshine, maybe a little haze on the horizon thanks to some distant wildfire smoke, but that quiet weather should last through the first few days of next week.